Alright, what is going on, guys? My name is Leon Master. Welcome back to another Overwatch League video, and today, guys, we are bringing some top 10s in. There's been nothing happening this past week, unfortunately. We're kind of near the end of the season. There will probably be a few, like maybe 4 or 5 new more signings that are going to be probably official in the next month or two, because we are somewhat getting near the Overwatch League start. You know, it's going to be like March or April, if I remember. Going to be later than usual. Signings are kind of done now. I'm waiting until a lot of things are officially announced before we do the tier list, if you guys want to know where those are at, but we're going to go ahead and jump into some top 10s, maybe some top 5s. I have some ideas, and if you guys want to give me some ideas too, I'll definitely mention you guys in the video with that idea, and we'll go on with it. So right now, before we jump right into this list, the date is December 30th for these signings, so anything that happens the day after, and obviously months, they will not be thought about in this video in the slightest, because I cannot predict the future. These will all be also official signings, no leaks at all. So like Boston Uprising and Valentine and Faith are actually real signings. These guys will definitely not be in the list at all, or maybe even mentioned. And also, one more thing before we jump into this is all a opinion list. Top 10, my opinion on best signings so far. We'll all have different opinions on these signings. We may have somewhat, maybe a similar top 5, but other than that, it's all my opinion for this top 10. And to start at number 10, we have Mono joining the Philadelphia Fusion. And the reason why he's actually so low is because I am really confused on how Philadelphia Fusion is going to make the roster. I think Mono is a fantastic signing, could potentially be better than Sato in certain ways, but the thing that really confuses me why he's so low is what is Philadelphia Fusion's playstyle going to be? I think Mono could bring a new playstyle to Philadelphia Fusion, maybe more of a passive playstyle, sometimes aggressive, maybe he can adapt in certain situations. I think that's great. I think Poco could do well beside him, but the thing that really worries me is his DPS and his supports. They're very aggressive. Alarm and Funny Astro very aggressive. EQO and Carpe are very aggressive. Then you have Mano, who's really passive, and Poco, who I think can adapt to whatever playstyle, passive and aggressive. I would like to see more of an aggressive playstyle, but Mano's there, being probably the only really different one out of that entire lineup. Obviously, they have new coaches as well, but Mano is definitely a questionable one right now. I would still think he's one of the best signings so far, looking at all the signings, but I think Mano, still a fantastic signing, just really questioning where they're going to go with this. I think Mano's a great player, but it all depends on how they end up going towards this next season of the Overwatch League. Now to number 9, which I think a lot of people may have not expected this one, is Slime, actually. Slime joining the Florida Mayhem, which may be a shocker to some people. And the reason I say Slime is because I think just this single signing, next to OG, obviously, I think Slime's the biggest one out of the most signings they made recently. I think Slime is actually going to upgrade this team by a lot than what people think of. Obviously, they had Chris, who did actually a pretty good job last season for the Florida Mayhem. We all expected him not to do the best, but he ended up being really good this season for the Overwatch League for the Florida Mayhem. Slime comes in, being a massive upgrade. It sucks. I can't really say a lot right now about Slime because we haven't really seen him play at all when he was on the Seoul Dynasty this last season, so it kind of sucks. I can't really say that much about Slime. But if we end up looking what he did perform with the Vancouver Titans, and obviously Runaway before that, Slime was really good. The top main support, you could have maybe even said in the Overwatch League Season 2. One of the best Lucios, had pretty good Mercy occasionally. We haven't really seen his Brig that much, so I can't really comment on his Brig. But Slime, definitely going to massively upgrade this team. Also, beside Gangnam Jin, he can make Gangnam Jin even look way better as well. And just all around, I think his playstyle and how he plays on every hero really fits his team, and I think a lot of his teammates will adapt to his playstyle as well. Also, he has some of that Vancouver Titans, background, I guess you could say, or Runaway. You can bring some of that with Kuki, and all around, I think this is just a really big signing for the Florida Mayhem. He brings a lot to this team, maybe even some nice shot calling for the Florida Mayhem if anything goes wrong behind the scenes. OG's still there, and Slime could help OG a little bit more as well behind the scenes. I think Slime is just all around a really good signing that really fits the Florida Mayhem. Now on to number 8. I think a lot of people expected him to be on this list. It is actually FD God joining the San Francisco Shock, and who knows how this signing could go. I think this is honestly a fantastic replacement for Moth. If you disagree or not, I think it is one of the best signings Shock could have made to replace Moth, going to the LA Gladiators. FD God comes to the Shock, and I think this one is going to be an interesting one. I think FD God is really going to change the SF Shock because of how aggressive his playstyle is. We saw in his Lucio mainly how aggressive he was, occasionally on his Brig. We didn't really see a lot of his Mercy last season, but it could end up seeing a lot more for the Shock, and I don't think it really will change that much. FD God can probably definitely change his playstyle when he plays specifically Mercy. Honestly, you could be really passive, maybe go really aggressive with a DPS player like Striker, like Narrow, maybe even Glister if we see him play. So I think FD God is definitely going to upgrade this team Potentially. I'm not going to say he will. I'm not going to say I will guarantee, but I definitely think FD God will bring a different shock next season. Definitely a lot more aggressive, and we'll see a different shock next season, single-handedly because of FD God. Now on to number 7, which I think this one's going to be an interesting one for you guys, is Fielder joining the Dallas Fuel. And the reason I say this one is because Fielder will potentially not be on ping next season. He'll probably most likely be in the facility at some point with the Fuel players, and it does look like some players are actually already in Dallas. I think Sparkle's in Dallas potentially. I could be wrong, but all around I think Fielder is honestly going to be better this next season compared to his last season with the Paris Eternal. Now being on the Dallas Fuel, going to be a full Korean lineup, playing beside these fantastic players that he's played with, and also some not, like Doha, for example, and he's going to play with his previous coach on the Paris Eternal as well. And I already said already that Fielder will most likely not be on ping, which is going to help him a lot. Also, with Aid still being there, for support coach, I think Fielder is going to be a massive upgrade this next season. Just, previously from his last season, he'll probably have no ping. I think Fielder is going to do a lot more this next season. Now to number 6, and it was really hard to decide 6 and 5, and this one came to my personal opinion, honestly, depending on how the teams will perform, but number 6 is going to be Mag on the Washington Justice. I think Mag will potentially bring a lot next season for the Washington Justice. He was one of the top main tanks you needed for the next Overwatch League season. One of the best. He needed to be in the next season, and Mag's now joining the Washington Justice beside Fury, beside Decay, and obvious things with that, the coaches and all that. Mag comes to the Washington Justice now. He has a great playstyle that can go between passive and aggressive, and will definitely fit this team with Decay and even Fury. He's definitely going to be a massive pickup. One of the best main tanks we'll probably see next season as well. And number 5 also is a main tank. You guys probably already know who that is at this point, but Mag, I think, is a fantastic signing for the Washington Justice, and all around going to be a top main tank next season. And speaking of main tanks, we're going to jump into number 5, and number 5 is going to be Muse, actually. Now, I know this one's probably going to be really confusing for some of y'all. There's Mag, Muse. Mag's probably better. Muse is probably better in some people's opinions. I think Muse, if you look at the team-wise, LA Gladiators and the Washington Justice, I think Muse will actually impact a lot more on the LA Gladiators than Mag will on the Washington Justice. The reason I say this, and it's not because of the most recent LA Valiant tournament. If I'm going to be honest, I didn't really watch that tournament a lot. I've seen occasional clips. I've heard LA Gladiators did well, and I heard Muse did really fantastic, but that's not really going into this list. I think Muse all around will fit this team perfectly. With Moth, with Shu, with the coaching staff, also potentially Space, maybe a rumored off tank that could come in. I think Space is still going to be fine though. And you also have Kevser and Birdring. I think Muse fits this team perfectly. He's actually going to be probably a good Fisher replacement. There was Roar, who was going to be him, was going to be OG. Now it's a Muse. And it could be an old argument now to say Fisher replacement, but Fisher just did fantastic things for the LA Gladiators back on Season 1. And LA Gladiators has all round been suffering with the main tank issues since then. They have had iRemix when Fisher did his things. They had, like I said already, with Roar, OG, LH Cloudy, they haven't had that main tank yet, and Muse is going to be that main tank coming in for the LA Gladiators, and I think this one's going to be perfect. He's very aggressive. That really fits the rest of the team, like I've already said, with Shu, Moth, and etc. Also that coaching staff as well. I personally love Muse, the signing of Muse, way more than Mag on the Washington Justice, but that's just my personal opinion. And we're also talking about LA Gladiators, and the next one for number 4 is going to be Shu. I think Shu is going to be another top signing for this next season. He was insanely good for the Guangzhou Charge for 2 seasons. Personally, one of my favorite flex sports in all Overwatch. Even watching him in Contenders back in the day, he was one of my favorites. I knew he had potential, and he showed it on the Guangzhou Charge for 2 seasons. One of the best players on the Charge as well. And now LA Gladiators, they're kind of filling up their support spots. Now they have Moth and Shu, who are going to be definitely one of the best support duos next season. I don't know about the best just yet because we haven't seen the game. So it's really hard to predict that, but I definitely think they will be close to the top support duos in the league next season, and Shu is a big factor because of that. He's very aggressive, he's really good on Ana, really good on Zen, and he's very aggressive. He's one of those flex sport players that gets a lot of kills that are very surprising, really good nade spots and sleeps that are massive. Now on to number 3, the last LA Gladiators one, and this one's obvious, is Moth. Moth, we've known from the San Francisco Shock, he has been a top player since he has joined Season 1. We've seen that he can play really good Mercy. He was one of the best Mercies probably for Season 1 and maybe occasionally Season 2 when Mercy got to some playtime. Obviously, Season 3 we didn't see a lot of Mercy. We all know how good his Lucio is, his Brig. He even plays Ana, but we haven't really seen his Ana since Season 1, so it's hard to say, but he can definitely play his Ana when it's needed. Moth is very flexible in all the supports, but he's mainly, obviously, the main support. The Lucio, the Mercy, all of that. Moth can do it, and he's a top all the time. Obviously, because he was on the Shock, a winning team. And I definitely think he's going to bring that to this next team. He has a really good shot calling. He does these hard wall riding spots as well. It's very hard to do, even at a pro level. And Moth does them very clean on top of that, which I know could be weird talking about wall riding spots, but some of them are actually really difficult in game. Moth does it really well. He's also, like I said already, a good shot caller. He knows when to use his ult. I can't really think of any of a bad time Moth has used a bad ult, honestly. Maybe season 1, but that's a long time ago now. But all around, Moth, one of the best signings that could have happened for the Overwatch League, and especially for the LA Gladiators. Now on to number 2, and number 2 is going to be Fearless on the Dallas Fuel. Now to this, y'all may wonder what is my number 1. Like I said already, this is a personal opinion top 10 list, so keep that in mind. But number 2, Fearless. I think we all know how good Fearless was for the Shanghai Dragons, coming into this last season for the Shanghai Dragons, like I said already. Fearless, a very aggressive player that's going to fit the Dallas Fuel. Really good Winston, really good Reinhardt as well. Wouldn't say it's his best. I'd say Winston's probably Fearless's best main tank. He could play Orisa. I would not say it's his best as well. Probably his worst main tank, but I'm not saying it like at the bottom. He's not at the bottom. He's probably top 5 Orisa still, potentially. He's still insanely good. I haven't really remembered his ball that much, but I definitely think if he works on his ball, he can be one of the best. So Fearless all around, a top main tank coming in for the Dallas Fuel. Really fitting how that team's working out to be in general. Very aggressive, and could probably switch on the fly of any comp. So Fearless, really good. Now to some honorable mentions. I really wanted to put these guys in the list somewhere, but I just really liked my top 10, so I'm going to mention these guys for honorable mentions. It is Ivy and Fury. I think Ivy's going to do a lot on the NYXL after what he did on the Philadelphia Fusion. Sucks to see that he's not on that team anymore. I still think he would fit that playstyle, even with Mono being on that team. So Ivy now on the NYXL, gonna be a top DPS, hopefully, for this next team. Also playing with Yakpung again, maybe some synergy there from Toronto to fight. Ivy is just gonna do such a good job. Also, Fury, I really wanted to put Fury in here, but I didn't know where to put him, so I just put him in honorable mentions. I think he's gonna do a really good job beside Mag, and I definitely think they will fit really well beside each other, how aggressive they are with his Diva play, even some of his Zarya play. We haven't seen it in a while, but his Zarya is not that bad. His Hog's good. Fury is going to be a good pickup for the Washington Justice, also, like I said already, playing beside Mag. Now to number 1. I know a lot of people are going to disagree, but when it comes to the top 10s, everyone's always going to disagree with the top 1. That's why I want you guys to make your own list down below and have fun with it. This is all a fun time. We're making these fun videos at this point, and my number 1 is going to be Hanbin on the Dallas Fuel. I think Hanbin joining the Dallas Fuel is a really massive pickup. Hanbin almost had 0 bad performances. He's good on all off tanks. We haven't really seen all of them. We haven't really seen his Zarya play a lot, but then again, a lot of off tank players don't really play Zarya. It's more of the DPS that play Zarya, like the hit scan. But Hanbin, when he has played it in the past, has been insanely good. His Sigma has been insanely consistent, and so has his Diva, and occasionally his Hog as well. We haven't really seen his Hog that much, but Hanbin all around, top off tank, insanely consistent, always brings great performances, even game-saving performances from the team he's on, like Paris Eternal from last season, and his ult charge is insanely fast. Hanbin is going to be such a good pickup for the Dallas Fuel. Also, on top of that, being in a full Korean lineup, no language barriers at all, like it was on Paris Eternal. It maybe wasn't that bad on Paris Eternal, but now it's full Korean. They'll speak Korean, and it'll just be insanely cleaner for Hanbin, and maybe even better for Hanbin on the Dallas Fuel next season. With the coaching staff, with the players surrounding him, I think Hanbin is going to do a lot next season for the Dallas Fuel. But like I said, I expect people to disagree with my number 1. I expect a lot of people to disagree with other people's number 1s as well. It's a hard list. I went through it. I found all the best signings. I wrote them down, and I was like, okay, let's put him here because I think that's a good signing. It's one of those things. I looked through all the signings, and I decided these guys were some of the best signings they made this season. Obviously, we have a couple more months, and we're going to be done, honestly, with this offseason soon. And it's going to be interesting to see. Not that many, signing videos like there will be, but hey, that's how it is. Anyways, guys, that is going to be it for the top 10. I hope you guys make some of your top 10s down below. If you guys want to put honorable mentions, you can as well. But if you want to, also come bring in the Discord if you guys want to talk about your top 10s. Maybe even some explanations if you want to. But go ahead. I really recommend, making the top 10 for the comments below. And a lot of people will probably react to it. It's going to be fun. That's going to be it for me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to stay more in tune with Overwatch League news and Overwatch League stuff in general, don't forget to subscribe down below. Also, don't forget to join my Discord down below, like I said already. And don't forget to follow my Twitter and my Twitch. And don't forget to hit that bell. And don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I'll see you guys on the next one.